Hello again, it's Andre with the Impulsive Thinker podcast. I have here a good friend of mine, Jared Henhofer. We met at the Waterloo Entrepreneurs Organization, EEO, quite a few moons ago, and we keep in touch regularly. And Jared is a self-proclaimed adventure capitalist and serial entrepreneur. He's a co-founder of Stage Left and the president of Penguin Power Holdings. How are you, buddy?
I am fantastic, and I'm honored to share my thoughts on the blessings of ADHD today.
Cool. Do you want to give us a quick background on you and your experiences and your success?
I'll try 30 seconds. So I grew up a poor farm kid, hashtag first world farm poverty, lots of love, great family, raising pigs. My dad said pigs are cyclical. They go bankrupt every 7 years. You should go study business. You're a smart kid. Went to university, studied finance, went to Bay Street, worked corporate, escaped, ran a investment consortium. We invested in 140 companies, and then finally jumped off the cliff, started my own company, and now I collect them for fun, and I help other people buy and sell companies too.
Fantastic. I'm really happy that you're here with me because I remember about a year and a half ago, for some reason, we got on the phone and I threw out this podcast idea, and the immediate thing you said was, I'm going to be one of your first ones on it. So I said, well, first call I did was there, definitely Jared. So successful serial entrepreneur, ADHD, and I think based on our conversations, we're both on the severe end of the spectrum. And based on our conversations and our history, I think you're also hyperactive still. I want to start off by discussing one of your biggest ADHD challenges that affected your growth or caused problems with your companies.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of challenges. If you want to take that therapy couch, we'll be here for hours, but I'll just pick one. So, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me is I see opportunity everywhere. And I can eliminate 95% of the opportunities, but I'm a serial connector. So the floodgate is in, it just overwhelms me. And the other problem is, I have a hard time saying no when I see something beautiful that can disrupt the market and grow to some incredible amount. So I end up just having way too many businesses, way too many companies. And then I go squirrely, and my wife and kids are like, where's the balance in your life? And how come we can't, go on vacation with you? Where are you, Dad? You can't coach the hockey team anymore. So I think from my perspective, that's been a real struggle for me. It's an ongoing struggle. I haven't won. I am certainly learning to say no much more often, but still a problem for me.
I just want to let's touch base a little bit more on the family side, because that seems to be a common theme with everyone I'm talking to. It is definitely a big one on my side. For me, it always was, just get one more thing done. Or if I just get this done, I can have a lot more time at home. And the next thing I know, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night. And it's, I'll just go in for a couple minutes on Saturday, or I'm too busy to go here, to go there. I want to, go more on that for me, please.
Well, I was up at 4 a.m. this morning. I just bought a house. I was applying for a mortgage. Then I was texting people. I'm selling 3 companies right now. I'm a boutique M&A firm. I'm like, okay, that's good. Great. Next fire. Got a rapidly expanding solar company, got a rapidly expanded packaging company. And basically my wife was like, really, did you have to get me up at 4 a.m. again? The squirrels were going 100 miles an hour at 4 a.m. Then I had caffeine, bad idea. Got a new espresso machine. Got to try that out. So that would be my expansion on that point. That's my morning.
Yeah, it's especially when you're interested, right? A lot of interest and novelty. It's hard to get out of that interest, especially when our brains really lock onto something. For me, it's very hard to get out because it's very enjoyable. All right, that was the challenge, which is a big one. And I'm really happy that you pointed out that it's an ongoing challenge, one that you've been managing. We'll never win all the time, but as long as we attempt to manage, it's, 80% rule is the way to go. That perfectionism in us has got to go. And that's one of our killers. It really destroys our self-confidence. What is your biggest success?
Um, it's funny because I looked at, you sent me a few questions and I was like, I don't know. I got a bit of imposter syndrome. So I'm like, I'm successful. Maybe other people think so. I don't know.
That's a common thing that most entrepreneurs say. Like my psychiatrist had to remind me and point out that these are things I accomplished. And I never even thought of that. I never thought I was successful either.
Yeah, one of my biggest success is what I'm known for is selling $50 million worth of $100,000 solar systems in 6 months from date of incorporation. And to this day, we've got 20-year contracts. We own a bunch of them. It's wonderful cash flow. I love it. And to this day, I actually drive differently to work every day so I can pass different solar systems. I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I did that. Because otherwise I wouldn't actually believe that I did. So for me, I'm super glad that it's not a tech business where, I'd have to go Google a website. For me, I can physically drive to one, stand there, touch it, feel it, and go, yeah, this is actually mine. And I used to do that the first house I bought. I used to get up at like 4 a.m. I'd look out the bedroom window. I'd walk around the house. I'd be like, I own this house, really? That's pretty freaking amazing. So that's probably the biggest success. Actually, I had a totally different answer here. Sorry, ADHD.
No, that's fine. But I think that's a good point to say. You actively made an attempt to go around to see your successes rather than having hidden away and just on to the next. No, I think that's a fantastic way of doing it.
Totally. I grew up on the farm and it's like you put the fingers in the dirt, you see the corn come off, right?
Yeah.
But the actual answer I had for that was, and this is very common with ADHD entrepreneurs and every entrepreneur, which is, I had a wife, 2 kids. I was, running this investment thing. It was a cushy job and I jumped off the cliff. And so all of the companies that I've launched since then, invested in then, bought, sold for other entrepreneurs, all of that is only possible because I looked across that ridiculous chasm that you have. When you're, payrolled, you got a wife and 2 kids at home. And, my wife herself is an incredible entrepreneur. But at that time, I left a T4 salaried income and I launched a company and I had no idea it was going to be as successful as it was.
Yeah, for me, my wife was pregnant with our first child 6 months, and I just walked in and says, "I've had enough. I'm starting my own." And I had about 4 sheets of arguments and counter arguments, and all she does is, "About time. Dinner's ready." Can you?
That is fantastic,
Yeah.
brother.
Expand more on the chasm. What chasm are you referring to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone who's left that T4 salary income or, had the pros and cons and, spent like months and, all of the arguments, they've all crossed that chasm. I rarely meet an entrepreneur who hasn't failed. I failed in my first couple of endeavors when I was younger, doing them while I was corporate. And so, it's massive to say we only have one paycheck coming into this house and I'm going to quit. And you just can't see the other side of the cliff. You're like Evel Knievel and you're like, I think I might be able to jump 8 school buses, but 9 school buses, I don't know.
So the chasm of uncertainty.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think majority of us definitely have seen that. And I wonder how long did it take you to make that final decision? Pretty quickly.
It was actually very quick. I had a guy walk into my office. He said, you're telling everybody in our community that they should launch a solar company, people selling, combines to farmers, etc. And he said, I will start a solar company, one condition. He said, you have to join me. You're my business partner. And I looked at him and he's a CEO, a COO, an engineer, an operator. And I'm like, this guy can actually build solar systems. And I know how to find people that will buy them. And so for me, it was super obvious that I needed to jump off the cliff. It was super hard, but that's exactly what happened. His name's Jeff Kerr and Penguin Power. Shout out to Jeff.
Good. Yeah, I think I've talked to him before. Nice guy. What is your next project?
Oh my God, I've got about 10 as always on the go. But the reality is my next project is me. So I'm an old man. You can tell by my loss of hair. I've grown a beard to compensate. But I would say that for all of us in life, our biggest project is ourselves. And our relationship, our marriage with our spouses who, sometimes struggle to deal with us ADHD crazy people, our kids, being a good father, leaving the planet a better place than it has been. And for me, my father, unfortunately, has Alzheimer's, and it's a terrible, terrible disease.
Sorry to hear that.
And, thank you. And it has really helped open my eyes to realize that I'm in a very, very fortunate position where I can do anything I want with the rest of my life. And so my biggest project, it's me. It's learning to say no. It's learning to have balance. One of the real challenges I have is I love meeting new people. I'm a serial connector, and I love seeing new opportunities, and I want to launch 5 more companies. And, I chase these things like, because they're so awesome. They're new adventures. I'm an adventure capitalist. I love that. And sometimes I forget the people in my life that mean the most to me, my closest friends, my wife, my kids. And, I end up chasing these things, which all take time, and I forget. So I've started doing sabbaticals. I just call all my CEOs and I say, hey, look, I'll speak to you every Monday morning for 15 minutes. I'm there if you need me, if a strategy or transaction thing comes up. Otherwise, I'm living in Europe next year. Don't call me.
So if you're saying it's the next project is me, how is that not considered selfish?
It's totally selfish. And, at the end of the day, I think that we as people, we have a hard time being selfish for our wives, our marriage, our family, our time. And I think that's a big part of the 996 movement in China. It's a big part of the movement where people are saying, there's more to life than just, 80 hours of, work and, growing profits for the man or climbing the next business entrepreneurial mountain. There's more in life. There's definitely, at the end of the day, I'll be dust in, 30 years, give or take. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm not healthy living every day, I look after your family, make sure they're good. But at the end of the day, corporations come and go, and money is money. And why would you, spend your entire life chasing more money when you really should be chasing the relationships with your wife and your family?
Well, it's definitely something a lot of us, the ADHD entrepreneur, do fall in that trap is work. Like for me, it was a big, I'm doing this for the family. I'm working these long hours for the family. And self-care has always been tossed aside as we think it's too selfish, or why would I spend time on myself when I got other things to do? So taking the time to take care of yourself, what I've discovered slowly, it's still a work in progress on my part, is that it trickles through. Just being home physically is a lot different than being at the office, but try to get there to be mentally there and just show them attention. Don't necessarily do something all the time, but just mentally be available. I've noticed over the last 8 months is definitely with my girls, the relationship has definitely improved.
I swear we're blood brothers. I remember solar was a time where I was MIA, I was coaching my kids hockey, but, whether or not I'd actually show up or have to rely on the assistant coach and, skipping, vacations or whatever. And we're definitely blood brothers in that respect, because it's so easy to chase the, shiny bauble.
Yeah.
and forget what you have and appreciate and have gratitude and have balance and actually look after yourself and, self-care. I mean, I've been a mess. And, when I'm overwhelmed and I'm a mess, I'm absolutely a terrible husband, terrible father, terrible friend.
So the emotional dysregulation takes over a bit and the impulsivity makes it worse.
No, the mood swings are
Yeah.
ridiculous. My wife is the most like even-keeled, calm, logical. God bless her.
Yeah.
Without her, I'd probably be, living under a bridge, addicted to crack and, et cetera, whatever. I don't know. Never tried crack. And I think if I did once, I'd be dead in 3 months.
It was like Dr. Ned Hollowell said, one of the first thing you do is educate yourself in ADHD, and two is find the right partner. Because my wife's the same thing, even keel. But the way I started doing vacations was my wife one day said, I'm renting a cottage for a week with our our oldest daughter at the time. She was 2 or 3, and says, you can join us if you want. I'm going anyways.
By the way, I love my wife to death. And if she doesn't approve this podcast going to air, we'll have to re-record tomorrow.
But and in a way, it was a sad thing is I didn't decide to go until we were packing the night before.
Yeah.
And then I actually left the cell phone at the office and just told everyone I can't be available. And that was one of the best weeks just to disconnect. Was a learning thing, but I needed that threat. Definitely the right spouse helps. And if you got a job you enjoy, it's fantastic. Anything else you want to add on this? There's so many tangents we can go here. I really like the term serial connector. What gets you driven, or what brings that energy about serial connecting?
I mean, I love people. I love life. My own personal mission statement is I'm an adventure capitalist in business. And adventures always start with the best people. You watch Lord of the Rings or anything you watch, right? An adventure movie. And it's like they meet new people. They got a new idea. They're going to go launch this or whatever. So that on a business side, I'm an adventure capitalist. On a personal side, I'm a life adventurer. And it's like, somebody says, oh, gee, I'm into rock climbing. Do you want to come rock climbing? I got all the gear we can learn. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I mean, you're a great guy. As long as, it's somebody that I love, then I'm like, I don't care. You want to jump off a cliff? Sure. No problem. Yeah, this is great. 80 feet. Yeah. Well, let's do 120. And so you jump off a cliff and you're like, that was great. And people are like, do you want to jump off a cliff? I'm like, nah, I've already done that. Let's go do something else. Right. Fly a plane, whatever. Right. So for me, the serial connector piece for me is I love people. I've got huge empathy, and I love high-powered, positive people. I absolutely hate energy vampires. I just can't stand them. Mm-hmm. Good friend of ours, Jay Gaynard, always says, right. Mastermind Talk, shout out to Jay. Mm-hmm. Your network is your net worth. And who are the 10 people? So over the years, I've learned that as this serial connector, just to read people, read their body language, read their intent, whether it's for business or personal, and very quickly say, this new person is somebody that, long-term might be really awesome to be a friend of, hang out with, go on an adventure, life or business or whatever. And that's been my hardest challenge as a serial connector is, there's people you keep in touch with. Then there's people that you're really tight with. And then there's people that you just got to cut out and you just got to say, hey, you know what? This person might be in the right place at the right time, but you don't share values, morals, whatever, vision, passion. Yeah. And, and I'm sure people say that about me too. But I have that same problem as a serial connector and as someone who sees opportunity is, chase the bubble, chase the next person. And it's like, now I'm spending time in Australia with this person and I flew away from my, wife and kids and forgot my balance again.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of even entrepreneurs also, not just ADHD, is trying to stay away from these energy suckers or the ones that manipulate you, and to actually make that conscious decision to fire them and be okay with it. That's a skill that's definitely tough to learn. But yeah, you definitely have a lot of energy. I remember the first night I met you. It was definitely a fun conversation, and you always make it about the other person, rarely about yourself, which is definitely a skill that most people don't have. Something you said earlier about how you started your company, the solar. You found you're the engineer, the operator. I want is that talk to me a bit more about that. Why was that key for that partnership to work?
Yeah, so same with my M&A firm as an example, same with my solar firm, same with my packaging firm. Basically, I have a set of skill sets that I'm really good at. I'm really good at transactions. I'm really good at disruption. I'm really good at strategy. I'm really good at interrupting people and, figuring stuff out really quickly. I'm really, really terrible at operating an existing business and even scaling a business. Like, I just don't have the time and patience. I'm like, you want some VC? Here's some VC. I just found 10. Here you go. Here's some money or capital structure, whatever. You want to go into this market? Okay, great. I got suppliers. I got joint ventures. I got exclusives. Life is good. Let's go. But actual implementation, oh my God, I'm the worst person on the planet.
It's the most painful thing for me.
Oh my God, you give me a form, it like literally will be on my to-do list for a month and it won't get done. And, I'll do a shitty job of it. Same with HR. I love people. I love subcontractors. I hate employees. I love the person, but I hate the idea of having to find them, hire them, train them, patiently help them with their career development or whatever. I'm like, I just can't. I'm just terrible at it. So for me, every single business, like our mergers and acquisitions business, I've got guys that are awesome at diligence and execution. I can find people that want to buy companies. I can find people that want to sell companies. I can, see where they fit together. I've got, ridiculous networks. I put them together, but like, as soon as the LOI comes in, I'm like, oh my God, you're beyond my expertise. Here's my guy, here's my other guy, and they're amazing guys. They're far more valuable than me because they make sure what I find doesn't fall apart in diligence, where 90% of deals that fall apart in the diligence.
Well, that's fantastic. You found your unique ability and where you strive at and you have a passion for and you love doing. Like for me, I realized a while ago was I'm really good at the getting, at the solving, finding the solution, but the doing part, I suck at.
We're in sync. We're in sync, brother.
Yeah. And then for me, one of the biggest revelations was managing. Managing people it's also like taking a wire brush to my brain. It's just, I love the people who work with my engineering company, but to manage them from day to day was just painful. And then they always suffer because that frustration came through. So what I heard from you is that you're incredible at strategy, transactions, and scaling the business, but terrible at operations.
Horrible.
So I think that's a key thing. I think we should end on that is for the listeners here is to identify what you really are not good at and really don't like to do, and to hire someone that is really good at that. And then identify your unique ability, what you're good at, and then stay out of the other stuff, which I did is I got my engineering manager and I stay out of the day-to-day, and things are flowing a lot smoother than they were before. So if you guys figured this out or you want to figure out a plan, let us know what you think of that concept, working only your unique ability, what you do best, and hiring other people to do the other stuff. Is that a good idea or not? I'd like you to hear what you think about that, and send me an email at questions@theimpulsivethinker.com. And the link is in the show notes. Jarrett, always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for your time. And again, demonstrating that having ADHD, you can be a successful entrepreneur, but it still comes with our challenges. And what I really appreciate with you is you turn those symptoms into strengths by managing them and setting your structure up. I really like that idea about driving by your solar farms to literally see the success you've had. And I think that's my takeaway of this one is to set up a way to always see your successes and a positive response.
Andre, I really appreciate it. it is an absolute blessing for you to share tips and tricks for folks like us who have incredible things to add to the world. And if we understand ourselves, we absolutely are the serial entrepreneurs that hire the people, that pay the mortgages, that pay the taxes, that pay the healthcare, that pay everything else. And so I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this podcast to reach out and help folks who may be lost. And
I appreciate that, Jared.
Haven't figured this out yet. So thank you.
And for sure. And the common thing I keep hearing, talking with the successful entrepreneurs, is self-awareness. Once we became self-aware, that's where the success started. So on that note, remember everyone, ADHD is only a part of you. It's not all of you. And thanks again for listening. Subscribe and share this episode. You think everyone will benefit from it. Thanks again, Jared. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Brother.